Hey friends, this is Wendy with Love and Stampin'. Right out the gate, I want to apologize for the lighting in this video. Unfortunately, I film with natural light and we've had lots of clouds. So here we go. We're going to get started doing this awesome ink blending technique. I'm using my Post-it note tape to put on two sides of this piece of cardstock. This is basic white cardstock and it is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm making kind of like a little channel, I guess you could say, there in the middle. I'm using a piece of Stampin' Up! Grid paper to kind of help me line everything up, and I always like to use some sort of grid paper or scratch paper when I'm ink blending so I don't get it all over my work surface. Just keeps things a little tidier. This is the last card in my 3-day card class, Irresistible Bloom, using the Irresistible Blooms bundle. And you can get all 3 card kits free, plus a super cute little scissor charm and an embellishment when you place a $50 online order using the host code that I've provided here on the screen. And I also have linked it below the video. There is a free project sheet for each one of the cards over on my blog that just have simple measurements and supply lists of the products that I've used. And so today we're doing some ink blending. Let me talk about ink blending. I want to give you a few quick tips on ink blending. When you do ink blending, you always want to pick colors that are going to work well when they blend together. So, for example, a pink and a blue blend well, they make a purple. Pink and yellow blend well, they kind of make an orangey color. So you always want to be mindful of the colors you're blending, because if you're not, you end up with brown in your blending process. The other thing to be mindful of when you're doing ink blending is using a nice light touch. Now this is very sped up, so it's hard to tell, but I'm not pushing very hard on my blending brush at all. I have a very nice light touch as I'm doing this ink blending, and it's better to go over the cardstock again and again and again versus pushing really hard and trying to get all your color down right off the bat. So here you can see I got a little bit of that starry sky in my ink pad over there, my polished pink ink pad. And that's just from the ink blending process. It picked it up on the brush when I was doing my ink blending and it transferred it to my ink pad. So what you can do to fix that is you can take like a scratch piece of paper and blot it up. You can take you could use this blending brush. You see here I'm wiping it and wiping it and wiping it, trying to get that excess color off before I put it back into my polished pink ink pad. It will not cause permanent damage. It just is one of those things where you do want to clean it up. So I do end up going back and cleaning that up later off camera. This is my very favorite part of ink blending, is removing the masks. So in this case, I used Post-it note tape, which you can find on Amazon for your masks. And here I am just going to go in and use my powder tool. And then I'm going to pour my embossing powder over my ink blending before I do any heat embossing. And here's why. You can see here it's stuck right to the ink blending. That just means that this ink blending is not dry. So I'm taking a brush, I'm wiping away all of that embossing powder. And that just means I need to take this and take my heat tool to it and dry it more. Now, if you have the luxury of time, you obviously could do a whole bunch of ink blending, set it aside for the evening, and then come back the next day and finish up your card. Would be no big deal at all. Here you can see it's better, but it's still sticking. However, I feel pretty confident that I'm going to get away with it because I'm using a splatter technique. So that is the key piece of this. Is if I was doing like a sentiment that I wanted everything to be super, super crisp, then I probably would still heat set this more with my heat tool. But since I'm using this little splatter look here, I figure if there's a little bit of random spots of embossing powder that sticks, it's not going to be a big deal. It's just going to like lend more to the look that I'm going for. I'm coming back in with my embossing powder, adding it over the top. Now in the supply list on my blog, I linked to Stampin' Up's basic embossing powders. There's a black and a white and another color. Yeah, I'm going blank right now. But I do want to be totally transparent with you. I use Hero Arts when I use white embossing powder. I use Hero Arts white embossing powder. I feel like it's more white than Stampin' Up's, and so I just want to be honest with you about what I'm using. So here we're going to heat set this embossing powder with my heat tool, and then we'll be able to move on to the next step in this card. Now, most of the folks that hang out here with me, first, if you're brand new around here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And most of the folks that hang out here with me, my friends, they know Saturday is story time. And during story time, I usually just share, an anecdote from my life, something that's going on with us. Oh, here's another ink blending tip. I always like to do ink blending on a larger piece than I am going to use. So in this case, this was cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then now I'm cutting it down to 4 by 5 1/4. The reason for that is the edges of your ink blending projects will get a little bit darker than the rest of the area, and I don't like that, so I like to trim it away. Here I'm just gluing this piece down to a piece of Starry Sky cardstock cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so for today's quick story time, so that I don't leave my friends hanging, I just wanted to share a little bit what's been going on here. Now this video is being recorded an entire week in advance to when you're going to see it. So my family has spring break coming up as at the time I'm recording this. Now when you're watching this, we are at the end of our spring break. Currently, I have 0 plans for spring break. Each year over the last 3 or 4 years now, we've done kind of a staycation during spring break where we just take the week off, we enjoy time together, we do simple things, we usually do a little bit of garden prep, clean up around the house, those types of things outside. However, I don't foresee that happening during this spring break. Why, you ask? Well, friends, because of the weather. Yes, California has decided to go rogue, and here in California where I live, it just keeps raining. I'm not sure it's ever going to end at this point. We have had the harshest winter that I have ever endured in California. I've lived here my entire life. Our elderly neighbor who lives down the road, he is 90 years old. Quick back to the card. Here I stamped in Starry Sky ink, and I'm going over this ink with my blender tool, and this just pulls the ink into the center white areas and gives a little bit of color to the flower. And then we're going to die cut both of these pieces out to add them to the card. So here I used the All That dies for the little sentiment piece, and it fits that thank you sentiment perfectly. So I was pretty stoked about that. So I die cut that out, and then I die cut out the flower. And then I'm going to do the thing that makes everybody cringe and cut this flower in half, and we're going to use it to tuck it behind this sentiment and then add our embellishments. So anyway, back to spring break. Yeah, our plan at this point is to just probably watch some movies, maybe go to the movies. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it seems like ever since COVID happened, there's not been any good movies in the theater outside of Top Gun Maverick. If you have a recommendation for a good movie, shoot, I'll take it. Now, I know you're going to be seeing this at the end of our spring break, but hey, I'll take a good in the theater movie any day of the week. So, yeah, that's the plan. Lots and lots of rain. I have not even touched our flower beds, our garden, anything. And usually by this time of the year, I'm in full prep mode, getting things looking nice, getting spring flowers planted. Yeah, not happening. So hopefully before Easter, we will have better weather, and I will get to do that because we are hosting Easter this year. And yeah, so that's going to be fun. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in our world. And yeah, that's it. There's not a whole lot new, guys. Just kind of plugging along here, trying to stay warm and weather the weather. I don't know if you guys get seasonal blues, but I sure do. So I'm definitely ready for some sunshine and warmth. Okay, so really quick, back to this card before we end things. This is probably my favorite card of all three that I've shared with you. It has the most windy look to it. I just love bright bold color with lots of white space. It just sings to my heart, always has. These little frosted, loose frosted pieces, I don't even know what they're called. They were available in the March 1st release of online exclusives. And as of the time that I looked, when I'm recording this video, as of the time that I looked at the inventory supply list, it shows these embellishments will not be back in stock until May 1st. Now, I don't know if they're going to come back in earlier than that. I don't know later than that. That's just what the inventory status report is telling me right now at the time of this recording. So these embellishments probably won't be included in your card kits, but you will get 3 card kits. You'll get a super cute little scissor charm. I'll pop it on the screen here. And you'll get an embellishment of some kind to use on your card kits. I'm not making any promises of which ones because it just kind of seems to be the time of year where things are like running out and restocking. Here are all 3 of the cards that you're going to receive. You'll get the kits for all of these. I think they are absolutely precious, and I love this Irresistible Blooms bundle. If you haven't purchased it already, you can get it in my online store. There's also a lot of other online exclusives that are really beautiful, and you can pick those up too. All right, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you in the next video. You have till tomorrow to place your $50 order and get the card kits free. Talk to you very soon, and yeah, have a good day. Bye-bye.